This program is a paid commercial announcement from Jacob Media Partners and does not reflect the views of WPHT or its management. Today's program is pre-recorded.
Pure Bull Beef Jerky wants to thank everyone for the overwhelming response to our favorite bag of beef jerky, Huck and Fought. Have you tried it? Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com and you'll see cherry smoked chipotle, cranberry smokehouse turkey, aloha pineapple, and yes, our favorite and your favorite, Huck and Fought. Go to steersnacks.com.
Jacob Media Partners presents The Adam Malamut Show. Real people, real perspectives, real opinion. It's The Adam Malamut Show, presented by the law offices of Adam Malamut and Associates. Now, it's The Adam Malamut Show, hosted by one of the hardest working attorneys in South Jersey. Real people, real perspectives, real opinion. Adam Malamut.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Adam Malamut Show with our host, Adam Malamut. Good show in the opening hour. Don't want to call this a continuation, but the theme, Adam, is the same. We're talking sports and how it fits, works, and sometimes doesn't work in society.
Yeah, that's right, Krause. You know, we talked in the first hour about sports, the business of sports, and has the fun been taken out of the game by the business of sports? You can't ignore the fans. You can't ignore the young fans who really drive sports, right, Krause? So as we talked about, we have kids who look up to these players who are making tens of millions of dollars a year. They want to wear their jersey. They want to wear their sneakers. The cost of admission for these kids has become unattainable for so many of the fans. Most of our listeners, for them to go to an average game, and when I say average, I'm talking about our Philadelphia Flyers, because I don't think you can call them anything better than average on their best day. But you're talking about a $1,000 event to get 4 good tickets and buy everybody a hot dog and buy everybody a soda and buy everybody one of those, number one fingers, which I think they have the wrong finger up on that foam hand anyway. So to have an opportunity to go to a sporting event, Krause, it really has been something that's unattainable. But as we talked about that, we talked about the importance of youth in sports. And it starts at a young age. I think that a lot of people follow the sports that they play as kids. For me, I can tell you that that's what's driven me as a fan, and it's driven a lot of other people as fans. So the role that you have in youth sports really dictates a lot of where kids get their interest, not just in playing the game, but in following the game later in life. So today we're going to talk about youth sports, our parents playing too much of a role with the kids, our parents overstepping their bounds. And before I introduce our two guests for this segment, for this show, Krause, you're doing something very special yourself, and it doesn't just hit youth, it hits adults. It really is an outreach program for those most in need. Introduce Krause's Coats to the audience for those who haven't heard us talk about it in prior shows.
Well, I'm not a big fan of talking about it other than just trying to be able to collect coats, scarves, hats, and this year I added sleeping bags to be able to help those in need on the coldest days and coldest nights of the year, but just to kind of put it into a visual, a theater of the mind visual for those listening on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. There's 38 Code Blue shelters in the city of Philadelphia. On any given night when the temperature drops below 15 degrees, 700 to 900 people don't make it into one of those 38 Code Blue shelters. They remain on the street. So you want to talk about experiencing cold and struggle. That's where it comes from. I'm in my 18th year with it now. I will do it till I leave this world, and then my boys will follow suit with Krause's Coats. And it's just a passion and a love that we do, and we'll always continue to do it. And listen, we get a lot of great support. You know, a lot of great support from a lot of people who collect, and it's not only new coats. We take slightly worn coats, we recondition them all, and then we get them out and distribute. I want everybody that gets a coat to get a coat with dignity. no matter what the situation. And that's always been kind of the way we've approached it from the start.
For those of you who are listening and aren't watching on video, I want to share with you that my extremely humble friend Krause is wearing a blue Kangol cap. And it is not just a blue Kangol, it is a blue furry Kangol. It may be part Cocker Spaniel, but whatever it is, do not let his humility take away from his accomplishments. Krause, over 250,000 coats you will have given out in 18 years. Is that right?
Yeah, a lot of grind, a lot of good stuff. I'm sorry to say that the need is there, and this year when I finish up distribution this month in a couple of weeks, unfortunately, the need will still be there.
I'm proud of you, my friend. You're doing something that is, we talk about legacy all the time, and you are not only creating a legacy for yourself in that fashion, but you're sharing with your kids a level of community service that is for the right reasons. It's not for the accolades. And I'm honored to call you my friend, and I'm very proud of what you do.
Yeah, right back at you, brother. Appreciate it.
So that being said, please check out Krause's Coats. It's Krause with a K, Krause's Coats. And if you have the capacity to give, please consider participating. Today, we are joined by my friends, Jason Fuller, Steve Still. We are huge fans of youth sports. Jason and I became friends through youth sports, through coaching together. I've had the honor of having him coach my son. I've had the honor of coaching his oldest in soccer when they're, probably 4 years old. When we were, literally herding cats. And my newer friend, Steve, and we're here to talk about youth sports and whether parents are too involved and what that's doing to sports for kids and their experience. So with that introduction, Jason, talk a little bit about your involvement. What drove you into youth sports?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me, Adam. Really appreciate being here. What drove me into youth sports is I have two great boys, ages 8 and 11. I'm a huge sports fan. I grew up a huge sports fan, and I've been lucky enough to have two boys who are similar in their likes. They love they love watching and going to Phillies games, Eagles games, Sixers games. We play baseball and basketball all the time. And listen, I am just a huge believer in youth sports. I'm a huge believer in sports in general. I think above all else, it creates amazing life lessons that kids can take forward, being part of a team, being part of a group, learning to deal with failure. I just love everything about sports, and anything that I can pass along to my kids and to other kids that I'm lucky enough to get to coach and to be around. I love to do. It's a passion of mine. I was lucky enough that my father was he was actually a high school football coach. He was significantly involved in all the youth sports that myself and my brother played growing up. So it just came natural to me, and it's something that I love to do. It's probably my favorite thing to do, quite honestly.
Steve, how about you? What drove you into youth sports?
My sons. I had two great sons, still have them, 21 and 25 years old. Got involved, sitting on the sidelines watching, and kind of disagreed with something going on, and I was prompted to get involved. And not that I was right or wrong about what was going on, but it's something initiated me to get involved. I got involved, got my coaching certifications. I coached I'm a coach for many, many years between both sons, from about 5 years old up through into high school. Through the time, and one of the reasons why I came back to do this with two boys that are out of the program was what I learned along the journey about what I didn't know and how I learned it through making mistakes and being that parent that I now am trying to help them understand, help the parents in my town understand what it takes to be a good parent to a youth, an athlete, a student athlete. All my parents, I'm sure, are great parents, but what does it take to be a good parent of a teammate that our coaches are coaching? And that's the reason why I came back to do it. I was out of it for a little bit. I was sitting in the chair watching my sons play through high school, and had a good friend of mine ask me to come back and get involved, and here I am.
Well, it's great having you guys today. We're going to talk about youth sports. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about some crazy stories that have driven us all together to compare notes on what is right and, more importantly, what is going wrong with youth sports. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a minute.
Thanks for listening to the Adam Malamut Show. If you need a lawyer or have a legal question, contact Adam directly. Drop him an email, adam@malamutlaw.com.
My name is Samari Cruz, and I am an officer. I've been doing this job for the last 23 years. And even with all the training and experience, the confrontations can get very heated. I was injured, and I was injured extensive enough that I was unable to do my job for a period of time. It was the first time that I was injured that bad. I didn't understand the process. I didn't know who to go and talk to. Working with Malamut Associates was terrific. I felt like I was being listened to. Adam, my first impression, I saw a man of integrity, very driven, like he was immediately on it, like he was willing to help. It made me feel like somebody listened, somebody understood that I was truly hurt and that somebody cared.
Welcome back. This is the Adam Malamut Show. I'm Adam Malamut. I'm joined with by my friends Jason Fuller and Steve Still. For those of you that are listening, you can follow me on Instagram at attorney_Adam_Malamut. You can also follow me on Twitter at Adam S. Malamut ESQ. You can also find us on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is The Adam Malamut Show. Today we're talking about, are parents playing too much of a role in youth sports? So, guys, let's dive right in. We've had an opportunity to talk before we got on the show. And Jason, my God, you and I have been talking about this for well over a year. Yeah. You and I have had a passion for baseball. We've both served on the board. In fact, I think I blame you for getting me involved in board service. And that's something that I'll probably hold till I go to my grave. But no, I had a great time. We both served on a baseball board. We've both participated in the development from rec ball to travel ball and winter workouts. And we've had an opportunity to watch these kids, these young kids that we coach and that we participate with grow, which is the most rewarding thing we do, right? I mean, this is about the kids. It's not about us. We're not bringing home World Series trophies. We're not, getting rings, although a couple of the parents may still talk about their glory days. But this is all about what we're able to provide the kids and the opportunity to create that legacy. I mean, there's no greater honor, and Steve, you know this, having been coaching for a while, than having a coach be remembered when they're seen by a kid that they coached 4, 5, 6 years earlier.
Yep. And
some kid comes running up and says, "Hey, coach, how are you?" And now you're scratching your head like, oh my God, I better get his or her name right.
Yep.
But you left an impact. So let's talk about this. Let's dive into baseball. So baseball is a hot sport in this area, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams. And I say this area, I'm not limiting this to just the Philadelphia area. I mean, the Northeast, baseball is a hot sport. There's a lot of competitions. Down in Maryland, there's that beautiful Cal Ripken complex, which if you're 12 years old and you're playing baseball, you're raising money to get to that Cal Ripken complex for what will be probably, for most kids, the greatest experience in their youth sports.
True.
So let's talk about some of these teams and what our experience has been with baseball.
Yeah, sure. Like you said, Adam, we've been in this for a few years now. And I think, like anything else, you see the good and the bad. And I think, there's a ton of, one of the things that's the best about youth sports is you get to meet a ton of great people. a ton of people who are in this for all the right reasons. And, it's just great to see all the work that they do and everything that they do for the kids in the community. Listen, and on the flip side, you see through experiences and through specific experiences, the bad side of it as well. It's become much, much more of a business. When we were growing up, Little League Baseball was Little League Baseball. You had fun, you played with your friends, you hope you made the all-star team or the travel team or whatever it was called, and then you had a great experience there. It's changed a lot.
Back then, the uniforms were a lot less complicated, too.
Yes, I would agree.
And your parents dropped you off.
Yeah,
they didn't
that's
stick
right.
around for practice.
That's right, exactly.
Or you rode your bike.
Yeah, but I think one of the major changes, Steve and I were just talking about this before the show, was one of the major changes is club baseball has become a huge business in this country. And it's still growing. I mean, just in the South Jersey area, there's clubs popping up all over the place year after year. And listen, there's a lot of advantages for clubs. There's a lot of really good clubs and a lot of clubs that do a lot of good things in terms of developing kids. But I think that's also really hurt the rec baseball programs and even the travel baseball programs. The town programs have definitely been affected by that, which is something that I've hated to see, because I feel like every year the town programs just kind of get weaker and weaker and weaker. And I'm very concerned about where these town programs, especially the ones that do things the right way, I'm concerned about where they're going to be here in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. Steve, what's your experience?
Over the years, growing up on an Air Force base, my father was rarely at our games. My mom would drop us off, and there was nobody in the stands. Game day, there were some parents there during the games, but that was about it. These days, you can't have a practice without a full sidelines full of parents, and the game. Listen, it's great to have them there and everything, but I go back to something I heard a few years ago, which was really key for me. Was when we take our children to school or they get on the bus, we let them go and we trust the people that are teaching them to educate them and take care of them and make sure they get home safe. And we trust them with their education. With sports, it seems like nobody trusts the coaches anymore. Nobody trusts the programs anymore. And everybody's on the sideline second-guessing everything that they do, and they give them no respect. No respect for the time and the effort that they put into it. And I think that's really had a profound effect on the coach's abilities to run a team, to make decisions based on what's best for the team. And I think it's been detrimental to youth sports.
Yeah, we call it daddy ball, right?
Yep.
You have moms and dads on the sidelines that are feeding in, and we've all been guilty of it, right? We've all cheered for our kids and said, hey, what are you doing in this position? Or you need to shift. Or if it's baseball, we're giving advice from, afar and calling balls and strikes for the ump.
Yeah.
And we've all been guilty, but it's to what degree? And to what degree do you say, I've crossed the line from being a parent and a fan to being detrimental to not just my child, but the other kids who are on the team? And, that's something that, quite frankly, is most troublesome to me, is where you have parents that are literally breaking the law so their kid can play on a team that might have a better chance at winning.
Yep.
We're not talking about LeBron James and Chris Bosh and all these guys getting together and forming some super team in the NBA to win a championship. You're talking about 8 and 9-year-old kids who are literally having parents changing driver's license addresses just so they can play on a team. And ironically, they're playing on teams that are not unsophisticated. They're playing on teams where the people there on that team, the parents involved in that community, they know what's going on and they find it acceptable.
Yep.
So here we are. We're telling Pete Rose that he can't be in the Hall of Fame because he bet on sports. And did he commit a crime? No. Was what he did wrong? Yes. But he can't be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. We've got people, who have used performance enhancing drugs, and people feel very strongly that they can't be in the Hall of Fame. However, it's okay for us to take an 8-year-old and have mom lie about where she lives, go to DMV, use different documents, get an address change, and all of a sudden, mom now signs the kid up for a different town's team so they can play in, a higher level tournament like a World Series, like a Little League World Series. That to me is unbelievable.
Adam, not only is it sometimes just for the child that they're doing this, sometimes these parents are doing these things for their own social standing, to get in with a crowd, get in with the team. Wow, they look like they're having a lot of fun. I want to go there. You know what? Let me do this. Let me do something wrong in order to make that move so we can share in that fun.
And that's where I always joke and use the phrase, this parent never got picked to play kickball, or whatever the way I express it is usually in jest, but there's a lot of truth in the jest. It's these parents that are living out their existence through their kids. And look, it's okay to a degree. It's okay to be a proud parent. It's okay to share in all of that. But what's the lesson that you're ultimately teaching the kids? We started off the show talking about the lessons and why we all got into this. Yet here we are, we're encouraging bad behavior that we're condemning for adults, but we're telling the kids it's okay to do this. Jason, what's your experience with this?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And honestly, when you get in situations like that, a lot of it is driven by specific coaches who I guess think they're coaching a Major League Baseball team, and they're recruiting kids. It's the coaches as much as the kids. We
got to go to break. When we come back, I want to get more into what you're talking about, Jason. I'm Adam Malamut. This is the Adam Malamut Show. Thank you for tuning in. This is going to be a hot topic and probably an impassioned conversation. I urge you to stay tuned into us. We'll be back in a minute.
Your radio lawyer, Adam Malamut, will answer all of your legal questions. Contact him directly at his law firm, Malamut & Associates, or drop him an email, adam@malamutlaw.com.
My name is Ivan Taki. I'm a Philadelphia born and raised artist, entrepreneur. Been doing this for 27 years. I got pulled over by an officer and I was wrongfully accused for something that I didn't do. So at that moment, I didn't think of nobody else to call but Adam. It's something about the way Adam himself is that makes the rest of the team play the same way. You want to have somebody that you can trust, somebody that you believe in, somebody that's fighting for you in that situation, and to know that you're in good hands. And when you feel that confidence and you feel that love and you feel that respect, that you're not just a number, that they're actually taking a little bit extra oomph and extra love, then you know that you're in good hands and they're looking out for your best interests, whatever that may be.
Welcome back to the Adam Malamut Show. I'm Adam Malamut. I'm joined here by my guests, Jason Fuller and Steve Still. We're talking about youth sports. We're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And unfortunately, I think that the theme here is, while youth sports are great, as parents, we are not helping these kids. Jason, let's talk a little bit about some of the misgivings, some of the misdeeds of parents. And, we've got some very specific examples, but let's talk about some stuff that folks need to talk about, they need to know about.
Yeah, I mean, for all the good that we've discussed and all the great things that go on in youth sports, there's definitely a bad side as well. And some of the things that unfortunately I've seen and I've been involved with over the course of the last year has been absolutely appalling. There's a local team who in the South Jersey area who's had a lot of success. Recently, they actually went down to Florida and won the Cal Ripken World Series at age 10. Listen, a quarter of their team is not legitimate. They're kids that are not from Cherry Hill.
Where are they from?
One's from Voorhees, one lives south of Washington Township, and another lives in Morristown. And it's a quarter of their team, and those three kids are taking spots from kids in Cherry Hill who are, funding the program. It's what I've seen, and again, a lot of it, to be fair, is driven completely by adults. The kids are almost victims in this whole thing. It's appalling. It's absolutely appalling.
Steve, have you encountered a loss of kids to these recruited teams?
Absolutely. It's created a lot of collateral damage within our organizations, not just Marlton, but also the neighboring towns. It really makes you scratch your head in terms of what we strive to give kids the opportunity to learn through sports, and what some of these parents are doing on the sidelines in order to create these super teams that chase a trophy, chase a trip to Palm Beach, Florida, or wherever they're going for these events. It's counterproductive to what we're trying to teach kids.
So when you've lost these kids, I mean, there's got to be rules as to where kids are allowed to play, aren't there?
100%.
You would think. Yeah.
I mean, when, just speaking from my own personal experience in this, which unfortunately I've been involved with here over the course of the last several months, we had a kid that was recruited right off our team. He had played with our team. He goes to school with our kids, and he was recruited on that team. It was when I had a conversation as to why that was happening. It was just presented that this is a better opportunity. This is going to be something that gives him an opportunity to, get a college scholarship, which is nuts.
How old is this kid?
He's 10 years old. He's 10 years. That's the crazy thing. Get a college scholarship. I mean, real baseball doesn't even start until you go on a real field. We're playing on a 46-60 field. We're playing on a little league field. And, but that's the mindset of these people. I mean, that's what you're dealing with. And, when all this started out, I thought it was just a case of, you're dealing with a couple of local guys who, like you said, are living vicariously through their kids, and they're cheating. And unfortunately, that happens quite a lot. I mean, it's going to happen anywhere that you go. But, and we can get into this down the road if you want, the true disappointment for me is there's a governing body. Right. There's a governing body that sets rules. They know the rules are being broken, and nothing gets done about it. They're allowed to just go on and do what they do, and there's no ramifications.
If anything, they've been enabled.
I agree. I totally agree.
So how have they been enabled?
Yeah, I mean, listen, once your district tournament or your state tournament starts in travel baseball, you have an opportunity to go to the commissioner of the district and appeal if you think somebody has an illegal player. And, through the help of several coaches in the area, it was not just me. It was literally 3, 4, 5 different leagues in the area who have all had enough of this. Everyone knows it goes on. Everyone knows the team it goes on with, and everyone's had enough of it. I thought there was one kid. I thought there was one ineligible kid. Well, then I'm getting emails from everyone that said, well, you realize this kid lives like almost in Delaware, and you realize this kid lives in Morristown.
And when you say almost in Delaware, just for our listeners' benefit, you're talking about kids that are commuting more than 40 minutes each way.
Definitely.
Just to participate on this, we'll call it loaded team.
Correct. So we put in an appeal. It was insanely detailed. The district commissioner told me it was the most detailed and fact-based appeal he had ever seen. And within 5 minutes, I got an email back from the state commissioner that said, everyone's good. I said, based on what? Didn't get a response. We did take it all the way up the ladder as high as we could go. They did rule one kid ineligible. The team played him anyway when they went to the World Series. Literally just ignored the eligibility issue that they were handed to from Cal Ripken. Totally ignored that. Just played him anyway.
And the teams that they played, that they lost to, or the teams that they played down there that lost to this super team, had nothing became of it for them. I mean, this super team won the World Series, and they were under false pretenses, but nothing happened.
It's incredible to me. I mean, you know, you talk about all the lessons that you get out of youth sports, the camaraderie, the work as a team, the discipline, and the one area that is most important, we're failing these kids on, and that's the honesty, the integrity,
Yep.
the, you know, following the rules. There's rules, right? If we got up there and we used the wrong bat, we know that they're going to stop us. So why is it okay to use the wrong player?
Well,
it makes no sense.
Yeah, and I think the other thing about it is, you know, there's a domino effect. Okay, it doesn't just affect that one team, because what happens is these other teams, and it's usually the most competitive teams, they look and they say, okay, well, if they're doing this and no one's going to do anything about it, we have to do something. So they go to another town and they recruit a kid. And listen, some of it, almost all of it, other than this one team, is on the up and up. It's totally within the rules of Cal Ripken, but you're weakening the other teams in the area. And what a couple years ago was, you had 4 or 5 really good teams who had really good games, and anyone could win a tournament on any given day. You have 3 teams that are almost non-existent now because their rosters have been completely depleted by this nonsense that's going on.
Well, and it goes even further, right? So it goes to rec. So we had a rule in our town that you can't play travel unless you play rec. And the rec program that's the heart and soul of a baseball organization. That's where we give kids who aren't getting college scholarships at 10 years old. That's where we give these kids an opportunity to have an outlet, play with their friends, learn the sport, learn the lessons of the sport. But as you continue to erode, you start seeing those rec numbers go down. Mm-hmm. And as those rec numbers go down, the cost of participation gets higher. And as the cost of participation gets higher, you're now eliminating people who otherwise would have participated. Correct. But we're creating this bar that people can't get over because the expense of being involved, the entry fee, is just too much. And then, you know, to take it a step further, then you start getting into, you know, the uniform costs. And if you want to enter this tournament or that tournament, there's additional costs. But it's, you know, the ripple effect is very significant. And it's something that if action's not taken, we're not going to have baseball as we know it as a little league sport. It's going to become club sports, and towns aren't going to have it. And these parents who are bad actors, we'll call them, they don't appreciate that because they think little Johnny, you know, because he hit from both sides of the plate in one game, you know, has got a future, or he struck out 5 batters, whatever it is, they think that he's got a future, but all of the kids behind him are going to suffer. Yep. We've got to go to break. When we come back, we're going to continue this discussion. This is the Adam Malamut Show. Again, you can follow me on Instagram at attorney_Adam_Malamut. You can follow me on Twitter at Adam S. Malamut ESQ. Again, I'm here with my friends, Jason Fuller, Steve Still. We're talking about youth sports. We're talking about parents' involvement and really parents taking away the fun for the kids, parents ruining youth sports. We'll be back in a minute.
Celebrating 20 years of incredible success on behalf of their clients, Malamut & Associates specializes in personal injury, workers' compensation, government regulatory affairs, municipal court and traffic, family law and mediation, and employment law. Email Adam directly, adam@malamutlaw.com.
Welcome back. This is the Adam Malamut Show. I'm Adam Malamut, and I'm joined by my special guests, my friends Jason Fuller and Steve Still. We're talking about youth sports and the impact of parents on youth sports. Steve, during break, we were talking about the impact on rec ball. Let's dive right into that, and why don't you share your experience and your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Adam, over the years, you know, Cal Ripken, our parent organization, which our town's been a part of for many, many years, as long as I can remember, required our travel players to play 50% plus of their games within the rec program. They had to attend and be a part of a rec team. A few years ago, they took that rule away, and no longer did they have to be a part of the program. They could go off and do their own travel part and basically left the rec kids alone to play amongst themselves. When you do that, you primarily, you think about the game of baseball, you need somebody that can put the ball over the plate. You need somebody that can field the ball, primarily catch the ball first base. So, as these kids are struggling to get through the game of baseball and become better, you need some key components. The main thing that this affected was the coaches. When you take the top 20% of the kids out of the program, you also take the top 20% coaches, if not more, because those 12 kids that are playing 12-year-old baseball within the rec program, those kids are now out of the program, and those coaches that would have basically headed up, 6 teams are now no longer in the program. And those are the coaches that may have played a little pro ball, played college ball, high school ball, or just love the game and are good coaches and good role models for the kids. Those kids are out of the program.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Cal Ripken is not identifying this problem is problematic. The fact that they've been confronted with the problem and have chosen to overtly ignore it is even more problematic. That brings in a new level of issues. You have somebody like myself who baseball for my son was a social sport. That wasn't his main sport. That's not the sport that he gravitates to, although he loves it, but he's got other sports during baseball season that he enjoys as well. So the games, we'll call it, that are being played by the parents, that are being played by the league, the lack of consistency from the league, make people like me less interested in enrolling my son. It makes me less interested, and I've been both a sponsor financially, I've been a sponsor, and I've also been somebody who's volunteered time, and it makes me less interested in doing that. What's the fix? How do we fix this? Because clearly, Cal Ripken and Jason, to your point, you exposed a fraud. I mean, really, that's what it was. It was a complete fraud. And I say you, not just you and a bunch of other coaches who were affected, who felt deeply for how their town and the young people in their town were affected. You exposed this. Where do we go from here? How do we fix this?
When I heard about this, and Jason and I haven't known each other a long time, but when I heard about this, running our program, when I found out about this and I realized what all of my coaches and teams and parents go through in order to go down this Ripken trail, only to meet against a team that doesn't have the integrity that we have. I can tell you that 100% of our kids on our travel teams live within our boundaries of our town. When they play with the Morrilton name, they live in our town. That's not true for these programs that our teams are going up to play against. And when they have to go up and play against these teams, it's not a level playing field. And it's so disruptive to the team itself. It's caused problems within the team. It's caused relationships to suffer. It's caused our teams to suffer, our town baseball program to suffer. And basically the ones that are picking up their paces are the club teams. They're the ones that are reaping the benefits from it.
That's right. And listen, to go back to your question, what's the fix? The fix is that people at Cal Ripken, who are in the highest positions of Cal Ripken, need to do their jobs. I mean, that's all there is to it. They have rules that are written. The rules are very black and white. And for whatever reason, unfortunately, people are looking the other way. The fix is follow the rules and have people at Cal. And Adam, this isn't volunteer commissioners. These are guys at Cal Ripken who this is their full-time job. They're the highest of the higher-ups in the organization, top 2 or 3 people, and they need to do their job. I mean, they need to enforce the rules that the organization has laid out. There's absolutely no reason why these rules are not being enforced.
Jason, not just the rules, but also what they put themselves out to be, the integrity, what they're all about, the kids, and developing better adults. What they say that they're about versus what they're allowing, what they're shutting their eyes to, enabling, is pure hypocrisy.
Sounds like a great piece for an investigative journalist.
Absolutely. I mean, give me someone at the Courier Post or the Burlington County Times that wants to do a great story that will, trust me, it'll draw a ton of public interest because baseball is a huge business in South Jersey. I'm telling you, you guys are missing the boat on this story.
We have friends who are baseball people, and I've talked to some of our mutual friends and shared with them. And one of them is a journalist who's interested in doing a piece. It's stunning to me that this is what it's come to. It's come to literally calling people on the carpet for their bad behavior. And absent that, this entire fraud would continue, in perpetuity. There would be no end to it because the system that has been breached, there's been no consequence. There's been nothing. Bad action requires consequence, and there's been absolutely zero consequence. If you have the opportunity to keep your kids in town, how much do you think that'll drive enrollment?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think Steve hit the nail on the head at the beginning of this segment. You're losing coaches. The rules do not make sense. They do not support the rec program, and the rec is your backbone. I mean, that's the backbone of your town. Youth sports are the backbone of
anybody
these towns.
in our towns. Anybody can afford to play their son to play Cal Ripken, town baseball. I don't want to call it Cal Ripken because it's town baseball. We're town baseball before we're Little League or Cal Ripken.
I'll tell you, and this is a commitment that I have here. This show reaches well beyond the South Jersey area. This show is on 1210 WPHT, the Big Talker. We are on Spotify. We are on iTunes. I don't get the same publicity that Joe Rogan gets for Spotify, but we will drive this, and we will drive this message because it's just fundamentally wrong, and it's something that if we don't create change, we're part of the problem as well. So I want to thank you guys for joining me today. This is a topic that we've been talking about, getting together and discussing. And listen, transparency is very important. There's no reason to hide this. There's no reason to not discuss it. If there's an issue that we're driving out of the corners because this is something that is going to affect our kids and the next generation of young athletes, young participants in rec sports, this is our obligation. This is what we signed up for. So I want to thank Jason Fuller. I want to thank Steve Still. Krause, as always, great work. Appreciate you. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in and listening to us. Hopefully you heard the first hour. This is the second hour. Both of them will be available on our website at www.malamutlaw.com under the podcast tab. They will be available on iTunes as well as Spotify, and also on our YouTube page. Search for The Adam Malamut Show. Again, I'm Adam Malamut. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for joining us. And for those of you that are getting ready to watch the Super Bowl, whoever your rooting interest is, I wish you the best. I'm pulling for the Bengals. Have a great day. Thank you.
This is The Adam Malamut Show. Real people, real perspective, real opinion.
Thanks for listening to The Adam Malamut Show, a Jacob Media production. If you're interested in learning more about the power of the radio hour, contact Joe Krause at 267-261-3428. This program is a paid commercial announcement and does not reflect the views of WPHT or its management. Today's program has been pre-recorded.